We got a Benjamin Moore paint color today to talk about called Moonshine 2140-60. We got some moonshine right over here, man. It's just water, okay? This isn't the 1920s. So this color is a slightly cool blue-gray with a touch of green. Sounds complicated, right? It isn't. I'm gonna go through this color with you and make it as simple as possible, and also give you some really fun color pairing options if you want a whole entire color palette for your beautiful home. So Moonshine is a fairly light paint color that is really popular amongst transitional color schemes, and at its core, it will come across as a cool color, but you're not gonna get like hypothermia from it or anything. It's not super cold and icy, and that's because more so than blue, it's very much gray leaning. There are some circumstances where you almost see a touch of a soft, warm gray-green, depending on your lighting, but in all circumstances, especially in those north-facing rooms, there will be a very subtle, cool blue sort of color shift. Its LRV is around 66, which means it's decently light. It has a comfortable amount of lightness to it, where it's perfectly suited as a wall color in many areas. This actually has color in it. And I also find that the more warmer elements that you put around this color, in the form of fabrics and furniture and your flooring, the more of that cool aspect you'll start to see a little more prominently. It's definitely going to be a bit of a shock for those of you who are more accustomed to using those warmer creams and beiges, even grays. But if you're a fan of greenage like me, then like the video. And if you don't have any idea what I'm talking about, then you clearly need to watch more paint people videos. Come on. I think Moonshine is an interesting choice as a main color if you want to use it throughout your home, especially if you like to lean into slightly cooler leaning neutrals. It'd be a great option for a condo where it's sort of one open area where you can kind of just see everything. But like I said, it's not going to necessarily read as a blue. It is very subtle in its coloration, but it just does favor the cool side of things in most cases. An easy choice for this color would be in bathrooms. So even if you did like the warmer leaning Revere pewters and edgecomb grays of the world, then you can have this in your bathroom as a little more of a cool sort of spa-like feel. That's sort of the easiest implementation that I find. Now, what if you did want to base an entire color palette off of Moonshine? What sort of other colors do you want to have around it? Well, guess what? I got color pairings, 3 of them for you. The first one being Swiss Coffee. So this is a color that is very popular. A lot of you may know it, by Benjamin Moore. It's a very light paint color, and it's one of the official bestsellers of the company. Right off the bat, you may be tempted to use this as your baseboard paint, but I'm picking it as a corresponding white wall color. To me, it just has the right amount of warmth, and it's very pleasant and pleasing to the eye. And right next to Moonshine, you really start to see which one is warmer and which one is cooler. I personally think it's easier to use them in separate areas, where Swiss Coffee could be a beautiful, airy hallway color, for example. And then Moonshine can slide into those living areas, maybe even the kitchen, perhaps. They could also work in the same space as well, where you have one maybe as an accent color or whatnot. But just be aware that they're going to complement each other a little bit and not necessarily fit in and fit together like jigsaw pieces. They have those different color temperatures, so just be a little bit mindful of that. Just make sure they work together in your space. And you do that by testing them out. Stonington Gray is another choice that is more so in that cool gray direction, kind of like Moonshine as well. Comparatively speaking, it almost feels a bit earthy, which is perfect, hence the name, Stonington. This is a paint color that you can pretty easily use in the same space as Moonshine. They are fairly similar in regards to their depth, although Stonington Gray is just a bit darker with a lightness or LRV score of 60, which isn't a huge difference, but that little bit of difference combined with the slightly different undertones, these two are distinct enough that they will stand out in the same space, but not necessarily clash and just look really weird. They're both gray based at the end of the day. Now, if some of you are looking at me right now with your eyeballs and you're like, James, really? Where's the color at? Don't worry, I got you. I know we started with white and gray, but how about dark olive as my third wall color choice? Look at that. And I like this choice because it's bringing back some of that warmth into the mix, but not too much because this is a dark green that does lean warm, but is somewhat desaturated as well. It's not the greeniest green that you ever did see, but there is definitely a lot of color here, and therefore tons of depth. I also love the earthiness within this color, and it's going to be the perfect accent color to finish off these other choices. Anywhere you need a deep dark color to keep you grounded, yet kind of optimistic, That's how I feel. This is what I'd recommend, even if you don't like olives. Who doesn't like olives anyway? My hypothesis is if you don't like olives, you just haven't found the right olive yet, you know? I can't wait to see all the olive hate in the comment section. Okay, so what about trim colors? If you love Moonshine and these other color pairings that I put together, what are you supposed to paint your baseboards, frames, and doors with? I don't know. No, I do know. My first pick would be White Heron, because it's a soft, slightly grayed out white that manages to maintain its brightness, but also has a cool edge to it. And it's going to fit seamlessly against Moonshine and Stonington Gray. For those of you that are looking for something darker for your trim color, I got a bit of a curveball this time. It's not nearly as dark as I normally go, but I thought it was a fun choice anyway. Fieldstone is actually a mid-tone color, and it's an earthy, muted green that will really give your trim some character. I find it exaggerates the undertones of some of the other colors in this video, and will definitely be noticed, which a deeper trim color should, really. And that's why you're not picking boring white baseboards, right? Going back to Swiss Coffee, it's an awesome color for both inside and outside, and we talked about it all in this video right over here if you want to check out more about it.